Okay, the first solution we're going to talk about is the CAMS system. CAMS is a part of CENTUM VP. It is a package that can be enabled or disabled at will. There doesn't require to be any separate license. It's just part of this basic CENTUM VP package. Here we are on a virtual machine, which is running CENTUM VP R6. And also on my same host, I'm running a virtual machine for the Exaquantum alarm management system, and also for the Exaquantum server, which is providing the data from the DCS. So all three are running, the CENTUM and the Exaquantum are running in test function, and they are providing data to Exaquantum. Firstly, let's look at CAMS. This is what the CAMS windows looks like. And the CAMS window can be customizable from the engineering station. So the options of what are available to the operator can be changed according to the requirements of the site. Here in the top left-hand corner, we have the shelving panel. Shelving allows us to temporarily remove alarms from the main display while we are undergoing some maintenance in the plant or some other intentional work that we do not want to be bothered with the alarms for a short period of time. We have three types of shelves. We have a time-based shelf, we have a one-shot shelf, and we have an auto shelf. So a time-based shelf, these durations can be dependent on how we configure them. They can be a short period like we have here, 30 minutes, or they can be for a whole shift. A one-shot shelf is just a shelf for just one type of alarm. We just drag and drop the alarm into there, and then we won't see the alarm until it is then reset. Auto shelf is whereby if we have any logic in the DCS, we can automatically shelve certain alarms based on logic within CENTUM VP. We will be demonstrating these shelves in a little more detail later during the demo. On the left hand, below the shelf panel, we have the filter panel. So this shows us the different view of the alarms that are available, different category of alarms that we have available within the system. So by default, we always have SIS, which is for ProSafe RS, system, process, and operation guidance. Those are the default filters which are made available to the user. We can just simply switch backwards and forwards between each one and see the different view on each in the right hand side alarm panel there. The number in bracket, in case you're wondering, you see there process 3,2/5. That represents the number of active messages, the unacknowledged messages, and the total filter messages. And as we start creating a alarm storm in a moment, you'll see those numbers dramatically increase. Here on the right is our A&E live panel, which is showing the messages as they come into the system for this particular filter which I've selected. And in the top, we have the A&E message panel. The A&E message panel shows us all the alarms of all categories in one window. This is a read-only a panel, so we can't touch that. So only down here can we acknowledge new alarms, and they go away from there. Okay. Now on this demo, I have this graphic panel which I use for demonstrating the capability of CAMS. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go and generate some alarms in Unit A. This is the layout we'll be using for our plant. So you'll see you have one plant consisting of 2 areas. And then we have 6 units, units A and B, C and E, and D and F, okay? So I'm going to now set some alarms going on Unit A, a repeating annunciator. I click on. As you can see, immediately they start popping up in the message banner of CENTUM. I click back to the CAMS window, and I can see the alarms coming in. You see they're alternating, they're going to alarm and recovery. Now, if I want to suppress that alarm, what I can do, I can just simply take the alarm and then drag and drop it into the shelf. Now you see they've disappeared. They're just only appearing in the shelf. They will continue in the shelf until either I reset it or the shelf expires, in this case 30 minutes. So all the time those alarms are being generated, I'm not seeing them in my main display. Now let's go and start up some alarms in another unit, Unit C. Go back. Now I can see some alarms come in from Unit C. And what I'll also do in Unit C is I will cause a upset. So Unit C, I can set an upset on. Now we should see a lot more alarms come into the system. There we go. So more alarms come in the system. I can, if I want, I can shelve those, or what I can do in CAMS, we have group suppression. So group suppression means that I can classify a group of alarms into a single alarm group, and with a single push button, I can suppress those groups very, very easily. So let's go to the suppression. I'll suppress line B, because line B consists of Unit C. So click on suppression for line B. Now we see the alarms stop appearing. You see the alarms are not continuously updating like they were once before. They are now being suppressed. So we're not seeing them appear in our main window there. In fact, some of them are disappearing now because they've recovered. But we've now stopped them. From the CAMS window, I can see what has been suppressed by going to the suppression list. So I can see that line B is suppressed. I can cancel it from here, or what I can do is I can cancel it from my demo screen. As I said, all the alarm groups, all the suppression done by CAMS is done by alarm groups. And here it shows the alarm groups I have defined in this demo project. And I can see all the alarms that are defined by each alarm group. So whenever I suppress line A, all these alarms with these tags will be suppressed automatically. What I'm showing you here now will not be available necessarily to all users, because I said in CAMS, the options that you see on the CAMS window are very customizable. So you can change all the options that you want to have to suit your own environment. So to talk about alarm groups in more detail, we're just now going to break into an engineering screen. So this is where we do the main engineering within CAMS. So you can see each and every alarm in the hierarchy is mentioned. If I scroll across the screen, I will see the alarm group mentioned. See line A. If I go down to say line C, scroll across, then I see line C there. So this is where we do the bulk of the CAMS engineering. We start the CAMS engineering by basically importing the entire CENTUM database. Then we go through individually modifying the alarms as per our requirements. CAMS itself is a MUR 191 tool. So the purpose of a MUR 191 is to classify all the alarms to match the MUR 191 standard. If we go to the tool menu, well, first I go to the individual menu. So here is a individual alarm, and this is showing you the MUR parameters, purpose and consequence. So depending on what purpose and consequence we set will dictate what the alarm priority becomes. And we can see that matrix if we go up to the tool menu, go to display. So the three purposes as defined by the MUR standard are safety, environmental, and financial. And they all have a consequence, starting from small to very, very large, to very large. So if an alarm is safety or safety based and the consequence cost might involve loss of assets or loss of human life, if the criticality is, if it's very large, then the alarm itself would be classified as critical. Likewise, if it's financial, but there's no cost involved, the alarm itself can become disabled. So the operator does not even see it in the CAMS system, does not even see it. Now I'll just go back, view all. What we can also do as well, we can change many different attributes of the CAMS window, the CAMS options. For instance, I can go down here. I think if I go, I'm looking for line B. If I go to line B, I changed prior to the demo, starting the demo, I changed the colors of some alarms here. Was it line, upper B. Please bear with me. I've rehearsed this several times, but when you give an actual demo, you sometimes lose your way. When you go into, let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So here, for example, I changed the color of these alarms. Rather than putting in red, I changed them to magenta. But I can easily go into here and I change the color again. So I can make them, say, green. And I can change any other settings I want. I can even add my own columns into this table to add more value into the CAMS system. But okay, I'm just going to leave it set to the colors. Then I'm just going to save that. That'll do a download equalization there. So equalization was successful. Now let me demonstrate the filter. So at the moment, as you can see, we've only got the default options in CAMS. We've got sys, system, and process and operation guidance. I've created another filter prior to the demo. I called it safety related alarms. And I'm using that for a function that's available in CAMS called load shedding. Load shedding is an option which allows you to define a filter within CAMS, and if the number of alarms increases by a certain amount within that filter, whichever view you have open in CAMS will automatically switch to that filter without you changing it, just to alert you that there's some problem happening within the plant itself. So here, for example, I'm saying that if I get more than 100 alarms in 15 seconds, please switch to this filter, safety related alarms. Okay. So in order to demonstrate that, what I'll do now is I will leave the system in the process filter. I will now go and switch on some more alarms. You can see now we've got a big plant upset now. And let's just wait for a second, and we should see the system switch. Hopefully, if I've got enough alarms generated, we should see the view switch to the safety related alarms. We just go back and turn off my suppression that I had on those. I was expecting that to change. It worked earlier, but in the best possible style, that whenever you rehearse all these things, they don't always work, but it does normally work. It should have switched to the safety related alarms view. I don't think it's matched. It's got enough, or I've defined the filter incorrectly. Anyway, what I can do is I want to show you about the filter, how to define a new filter. So I can click here and say add new filter, and I can say line B. and I can give it an icon. So let's say area. And then I can choose my attributes. So in this case, I'm going to say my alarm group is line B. So there's my filter, line B, and so I can switch different views, and there I have my filter. We can also define in CAMS which columns of information from the CAMS database appears in this window. That's totally customizable. Again, that's a site configuration issue. It's not something you're stuck with in the product. You can easily change these options yourself as and when required. Let me now just go and turn off all these upsets and make everything normal again. So I talked about suppression earlier. These are the buttons, the push buttons I have defined. These push buttons are basically just calling code in the background on the CENTUM VP station to suppress those alarm groups. I can show you the graphic that we have. This is the graphic used for the demo. So if I click on one of these buttons down the bottom, go to function, this is the name of the program that runs in order to do the suppression in CAMS. And we just pass it a parameter, in this case, the alarm group itself, line A. And likewise, that's to turn it on. And if I want to turn it off, the program is called bkh CAMS _s off. And then line A is the parameter we call. Okay. So that's just a little example of the kind of things that we can do in CAMS. I know I'll probably have to schedule a more detailed session, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the kind of capabilities that are available in CAMS. The C in CAMS, as I mentioned in my previous presentation, stands for consolidated. So we are not only relying on just CENTUM alarms, but if you have alarms come from other subsystems such as compressor control systems, vibration monitoring systems, if they have OPC capabilities, those alarms can also come into CAMS. So you don't have to keep fighting different alarm systems in the control room to find out what's happening in the plant. You can see all the alarms within one window, hence the word consolidated. Okay, now one step up from CAMS, we are now going to look at the Exaquantum solutions, SER and ARA. So this is the SER system. And you see we have generated some alarms while we've been doing some alarms have been recorded while we've been doing the test. So SER is a web-based interface, and this can be viewed on any system running Internet Explorer. So you could, for instance, have it on the HIS being called up from a push button. The SER by default will show you the last 2,000 events for the current day. That is customizable. So if you have a machine with enough power, you can increase that limit. At some sites, I've had it go up to 20,000, but it's totally dependent on hardware. But here, I am just having 2,000 events. And I can click on any event to see more detail. I see the name of the server it came from, the tag name. I can go into a filter and change the restriction. So if I want to, for instance, just show the alarms which are high, I can say condition name equals HH, click apply. Now I'm only getting the high alarms, nothing else. And I'm just going from page to page. By default, I'm getting 20 alarms per page, but that can be changed. I can change the page size to, say, 100. There we go. This list can also be exported into an Excel file quite easily. So I click on the button up at the top and say export the current page, or I can export all pages. So I'll just say export the current page. Then I get a prompt to click on open from the website. And then I see all the events there mentioned in Excel. Okay. So I can perhaps save that, print it, email it, or whatever as I see fit to someone. Now, the whole point of SER is it's designed to help with trip management. So when you have trips, the system will pick these trips up and give you a trip report. And the trip report will consist of a pre-trip period and a post-trip period. In other words, what was happening in the plant before the trip actually happened. It'll then show the actual trip, and then what happened after the trip. How did the operator bring the process under control to keep the process safe? So this is for trips. On this demo, I did create a sample trip, which I was generating from CENTUM VP screen. I have to go back to my CENTUM VP. I got a device demo here where I can turn on certain alarms for the transmitter, and I was doing it on the position sensor failure. So by turning that on, that generates a trip in SER, and I'm able to pick it up here. So if I click, that's not a good example. So here is my trip. Let's try and put it on one page so we can see it better. So everything before this line here in the pink color, this is the actual moment of the trip. So everything above this is the pre-trip period. So this was happening before the trip even happened. This is the actual moment of the trip itself. Then after the trip, this is what happened. So this is how things materialized after the situation happened. Again, that can also be exported to Excel. If you have a very long list, then you can click on the locate trip and it will just jump straight to the page which contains the actual trip. So it'll be easier for you to find. Okay. To configure trips, we use the SER trip configurator. So let me just show you that. So trips are based on different types of alarms that we have in the DCS. So in this example, which I just showed you, this is based on a process alarm, and there is my trip. It's a very, very simple trip for the purpose of the demo. So I've said that when these conditions are met, this is the source of the tag, and the severity is equal to 269, this will constitute a trip. I'm here also defining my pre-trip and post-trip scan period, so 60 seconds each. As I said, I only have two conditions here, but on a real system, you would want to put all your first out logic into there. So when something does trip on the plant, say a compressor, you don't need to actually know that the compressor tripped. You need to know the reason. So what actual first out alarm occurred to actually constitute that trip. So you'd put all those conditions within this trip report, which we can do in Excel and import if required. But we do them, import them into the trip configurator. We can put parentheses around each conditions. One example I worked on recently in a project, we did a trip configuration for some compressors at a gas producing plant, and for a single compressor we had nearly 120 conditions. So the conditions can be quite complex, but you need to have that level of complexity to understand where the trip actually occurred and what caused it. In the trip report itself, we can identify additional information that might be of interest to us. So if we have some Exaquantum tags in the system, we can report the value of those as well, such as if you want to know the level of a certain vessel or the temperature, the flow rates, those kind of things. We can go in here and we can add those tags that we want for the trip report, and they will be included in the final report when it's produced. We can also define what type of events we want to be given to us in the trip report. Here I'm just choosing all events, but if I say filtered, I can choose what type of events that I want to get returned to me. These are the standard classification of events available to CENTUM. So we start with system alarms, process alarms, mode status changes, etc., etc. So there's lots and lots of different alarm types there available. And if you have other gateways defined within Exaquantum, and it's collecting the OPC ANE data from those sources, you can also include that as well. So if you want to see what the state was of your vibration monitoring system, compressor control system, all those different subsystems, we can bring all that data into this window. And when you do look at the trip report, it will be in one format in time series order, including milliseconds. So we can report all that in a single report. You don't have to go to each and every subsystem alarm system to get the alarms and then collate them together. That will be very, very difficult during a time when you're trying to get the plant back online. So this is a very valuable tool in order to consolidate all that information into a single window. Okay. So I'll just say cancel that. So I can configure multiple trips configurations on there, and the system will run in background as required and report those trips. The trips themselves can also be sent via email as a PDF attachment. They can be sent to a printer in the control room, but there are many, many different options that are available for you to better manage your trips. Okay. So that is SER. Go back to sequence of events. I did turn off all my alarms. What I can do is I can just turn some back on just to show you that it is collecting data. So go to there. Go back to SER. Now just refresh. Should see the new events coming in. There you go, 12:29. Yeah, so the alarms are coming in. Okay. There we go. This screen will automatically refresh by itself if you have it open, but rather than me wait for that time to elapse, I'm just simply clicking on the refresh button. But there's all the alarms being displayed there. Now, the next product I wanted to show you was the Exaquantum ARA. This is the alarm reporting analysis tool, which again is, as I said, is based on AMUR 191. I've been running this demo for about 6 days in the background to generate this data, so I have something to show during the demo. But as you see, the home page of ARA will show the alarm status for the last 4 weeks. Okay, so each day we get a classification on number of chatter alarms, flood events, long-standing alarms, suppression, calibration, and average alarm rate. And the number of those alarms are recorded on this heat map. Okay, so as I move the mouse over each of them, I will get an indicator about the number of alarms. So for instance, on the 29th of August, I had 96 8,518 chattering alarms. Thankfully, this is only a simulation, not a real plant, but you get the idea. And over time, if I left this running for a whole month, all these grey dots would disappear, and this would be full of statistics for each and every day. At the bottom, I have a list of my bad actors, my top bad actors, chattering alarms, and long-standing alarms. At the top, I also have a breakdown of the number of alarms based on the average, so high, medium, low, and critical. So this is the default homepage. As you can see, in ARA itself, we have a number of reports which are classified by management, performance, operations, and maintenance. These are default reports provided with the product. There's nothing stopping you writing your own reports, because obviously we do realize that every single report we do will not be useful for everyone. So you can actually write your own reports or take some of the existing reports and modify them to create additional reports that are required by your organization. Okay, so we'll start with the alarm overview. That's the simplest one to look at. This gives us the big picture. So this is the alarm overview. I've only been collecting data the last 6 days, but you see it's identified. This is the data for the August and September. So we're getting the alarm rate, the number of standing alarms, and then a breakdown of the suppressed and disabled alarms. In all ARA reports, we can change the type of data we get from the report with the different periods. So here I was just showing a calendar showing the last 2 months, but I can do it for a particular day. So if I go and say day, I can choose just say the 30th of August. Okay, so there is the alarm report, just the 30th of August, and that's for the whole complex, that's for everything. If I want to break down for a particular unit, again, I go back into filters, and I can choose a different area. So if I go show you my hierarchy again, that's defined in the project. So I got 2 areas, upper 1, lower 1, line A, line B, line C. So let me go back to here and say upper 1, remove all, then click on apply. Okay, so now I get that for just the upper 1 plant, or I can change it to an individual unit. So I'll say line B. I'll show how the hierarchy works in a little bit more detail later. Line B. So there's just line B. Okay. So let me just put this now back to default. So that's the alarm overview. Now I want to show you the area KPI. So the KPIs for each area. Again, these KPIs within ARA are based on the EMUR 191 standard. But as I mentioned, that we can customize this, and I'll show you how we can go ahead and do that as per our requirements that we might have in our site. So this is the area KPI for each area, and it's showing the average alarm count along the top 5 alarms, the percentage, and the top 10 alarms in terms of percentage. In ARA, we do have drill down available. So here I'm just looking at September the 1st. September the 1st is still in progress. We're only, what, 12 hours into September the 1st. So let me go and choose another day just to illustrate the fact, I'll do it for a month. I'll do August. That's fine. Do it month of August. Again, this is for whole complex. So you see, for each and every day, I'm now having the area KPI. Okay. So 31st of August, 30th of August, 29th, 28th. So every day I've done. In ARA, in almost all the reports, I can do a drill down. So if I click on, say, the 30th of August, it will give me a breakdown of each and every hour. Okay, so there's the breakdown for each and every hour of that day. If I click on an individual hour, then what I'll get is the individual events that make up that hour. There you go. So there's the individual events that make up that hour. Okay, so there's 134 pages of those events in that 1 hour. Okay, so that's the degree of drill down you can go. You can go from, say, a year into a quarter into a month into a day, and then day into an hour. And then in the hour, you see the individual messages. You can also do reporting on the week as well, and we'll do that on a few of the options in a moment. So let me just go back up. Okay. Next one is quite useful to look at is the shift report. The shift report will show us the state of the plant at the end of the given shift. So it's a very useful report for the shift supervisor to see what the alarm situation was in the previous shift. What are the top 10 alarms that his shift will have to deal with? Any particular alarms that were in calibration mode or in AOF? Any alarms that are still outstanding? Okay. I can click on set filters to change to different shifts. In my configuration, I am having 4 6-hour shifts, but the shifts are totally customizable as per your situation. You could have 2 12-hour shifts or 3 8-hour shifts, whatever you see appropriate. But on this drop-down list, I can choose a different date and the shifts. You see, I'm having 4 shifts per day, so I can just click on any individual day and look. I'm going to say all plants this time. Click on apply. So, and see on this shift, the 28th of August, these were the top alarms. These alarms were still unresolved at the end of the shift, and these alarms had been suppressed in AOF mode. Okay. Now, ARA is also can track operator performance, because we want to make sure the operator is not too stressed, the operator is comfortable, so we can track the operator performance as well with the KPI by operator report. So here with the KPI operator report, I get a breakdown of each operator and what his average alarm rate was in this case per hour, and any areas where he exceeded the recommended KPIs is highlighted in red. And obviously you can appreciate this is a simulation, so these numbers are quite large. Okay. Again, I can go to a filter. I can choose, say, a month, a quarter. I can keep doing the drill down. So here is the operator KPI for August. I click on August. Then I get each individual day of August. And then I click on a day within August. Then I get each individual hour. And just like in SER, all these reports that we are producing in the ARA system can be exported to third-party tools. So, for example, I can export it to Microsoft Excel. Click on the open button. And then I see the report in Excel. Or I can go to PDF and open it in PDF. All the reports in ARA also can be scheduled to be sent by email or printed out or saved to a central server by the report scheduler built into SQL Server. So if you have a regular set of reports that you want to schedule, then that can also be done. So you don't have to necessarily rely on going into the user interface each and every time to check out the progress. Onto performance, what I wanted to show you here was the area performance chart. This is based on the MUO 191 standard again. So it's showing you what state your plant's in. Is it in robust, stable, is it reactive, or is it overloaded? And as you guessed with the previous report, we are very much overloaded, okay? But you get a breakdown there of the area performance within each plant. Again, I can do another filter, do it for the whole month. So I'm going to do it for August. So that's the area performance for the month of August. Okay. Next one to show is the alarm by condition. Alarm by condition will show you all the alarms and the distribution of the alarms by certain conditions within each unit of the plant. So, is it a high alarm or is it an IOP alarm, for example? So here we are seeing the distribution of alarms for each condition for each unit. And so here's the day, 31st of August. Here's our areas and our units, and this is the condition. So, for example, on the 31st of August, we had 7,605 high alarms. Okay. So I'm seeing that for each and every month. Sorry, each and every day of the month. Again, just like all the other reports, the drill down is there. So I click on the 31st of August, then I'll get it per hour. There we are, per hour. And I think if we click further, then we'll get the individual alarms that make up that hour. Yes, there we go. Okay. An extension of that report is alarm by condition and tag. So if I go to this one, I'll actually get the tag mentioned as well. Okay. One thing to note here as well, you can see we have the tag description. The tag description can be retrieved automatically from the OPC server, and you can choose whether or not to add it to your report. So you don't have to key in the description manually. It can be retrieved automatically from the DCS. Even if you change those descriptions later on, ARA can automatically pick them up and change them in future reports. But here we are now mentioning not only the condition, but we're also mentioning the tag. Okay. And as before, like every report, they can all be exported. We do also have you can also use Excel to do your own reports if you wish by using the Excel pivot tables. There's a function available in Excel for you to do that as well. Right, the next one I wanted to show you was the alarm rate. The alarm rate is how we do it by condition. So we'll go to alarm rate. This shows us all the alarms based on the alarm priority. Again, you see I'm broken down here by each and every hour, saying whether it's high or medium. Okay, and I can click on an individual hour and get all the alarms that make up that hour. Let me zoom back a bit to an individual month. In fact, I'll go year. Give me calendar quarter. You see here on the filter as well, if we are using suppression, we can choose whether or not to show all alarms or just unsuppressed alarms. Obviously, If you are suppressing a lot of alarms, it's also a good idea perhaps to look at those reports as well to see what is actually suppressed, to see if it's still applicable, because otherwise it can easily be forgotten. All unsuppressed alarms is obviously a priority in reporting, because all unsuppressed alarms, it is what's seen by the CRT in the control room. Okay, but you must still periodically review your suppressed alarms as well. You can't forget them. We've also, in all the reports I've been showing you so far, we've been talking about different periods. I've been talking about year, and quarter. In the newer versions of ARA, we can actually change the period to customize our own needs. So rather than looking for a whole month or a whole week, we can say just look at 4 days or 5 days in a single period rather than a fixed period like we're looking at the moment here. So that is available for us as well. So category wise, we can look at annunciators, process alarms, or safety alarms, or all. So if you've got ARA communicating with ProSafe RS, again, all those reports can be got as well, but I'm just saying all for now to make it easy. So now we'll look at year by quarter. So I've only got one quarter defined because I only started the end of last week. So quarter 3, we had 13,633 higher priority alarms and 23,466 medium priority. If I click on the quarter, then I get each individual month. And you see, we are only 12 hours into September, so it's very, very small. But in terms of August, a bigger value there. I click on August, then it gives me each day. And then finally, from each day, I get into each hour. You know the drill. If I go to an individual hour, then I get all the alarms that make up that hour. Okay. Alarm flood. This is shown as where we've had more than where the number of alarms has gone above 50 in any particular area for over 20 minutes. So this is shown here, and it's showing you the duration of the flood and how many alarms you had during that flood. You see there on this day, the 30th of August, we had 73,000 alarms in that hour. So a lot of alarms. That's a very big flood. Top alarms. This shows us the top alarms in each area. But perhaps we can consider these as priorities for us to try and eliminate our alarm issues. So tackle these first. This is shown by hour. If I go back, and then we do it this time by week, because we can use a week filter in ARA. So I'll do week 35. So that's last week. Click on apply. So in line A plant, these were the top alarms for last week. And if I click on the next page, I should get the next plant, line B. And then line C, etc. Now on to the final category of alarms, maintenance. So we can look at what is currently active on the system right now. Look at active alarms. So these are alarms that have been raised, but they've not yet returned to normal, and they'll give you an idea of how long they've been active for. So these two have been active for around just over 2 hours. And also the same for events, like mode changes. The very first thing you're going to look at when you're trying to fix your alarm problem is to look at your bad actors. The bad actors report is probably the most used report in ARA, and this is the first report people are going to look at on a weekly basis. So this is the bad actors for week 35. And you can see I didn't have it running for a complete week, but you see I've got 4 days there mentioned, 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. I've got the tag description, the tag name, and the number of alarms generated during that week down the side. I can drill down to that by clicking on the individual day. I get the 28th, and okay, the screen is quite not wide enough to show every single cell, but you can see it's going all the way up to 24 columns for the day. And again, if I click on an individual day, sorry, individual hour, I should get the alarms that make up that actual hour itself. This bad actors report, we can customize it slightly. We can say, again, what type of alarms we want. We can say, how many do we want? We can say, just give me the top 10, for example. Or I can just select a particular plant rather than choosing everyone. So there's just line B, okay? A variation on the bad actors report is the bad actors by condition. So in bad actors by condition, not only are we reporting the alarm count, we're also reporting the condition as well. So you can better understand why the alarm counts are high. Typically, you'll get very high alarm counts, perhaps for IOP, where you have instrument errors. So those are a good target for eliminating your alarm count. In this simulated system, I'm not having any IOP alarms, but you get I hope you get the idea that that is a useful function to have the condition there explained as well. Chattering alarms. Now, in ARA, by default, we define a chattering alarm, an alarm that goes in and out of alarm more than 5 times in 1 minute. So here's the chattering alarm account. So by each hour, we're getting the tag name, the description, and the alarm count. Just like before, we can change the filters to match a particular period or a particular plant. And then that can be exported or saved as we see fit. Okay. Next one I'm going to show you is the long-standing alarms. Long-standing, oh, nothing in that particular unit. It's remembered the previous filter that I used in the previous report, so I must put it back to all. So long-standing alarms are alarms that have been an alarm for more than 1 day. Okay, that's the AMER classification, 1,440 minutes. So if they're not returned to normal after 1 day, they are considered to be a long-standing alarm. That parameter can also be changed in ARA. You can see here on this report, we are seeing a unit called unassigned. This is automatically generated by ARA because new alarms have been seen by ARA, which were not previously defined in the hierarchy. So they do get added into this default area called unassigned. And as an administrator, it's good practice to review that list periodically and reclassify the alarms as seen fit. Normally, when I do an ARA project, I will start with the entire DCS alarm list, and then we'll get it reclassified that way. So we will eliminate the unassigned alarms from the very beginning of the project. A new report we added into ARA was the mode change report. Okay. The mode change report will give us an indication of how long a particular tag has spent in a given mode. And we can find out how long, the duration. above a certain percentage. So if I click on set filters, I can say show all tags where I'm in manual mode for more than, say, 30% of the time. So it's useful to see where those where you might have some issues of operations, so that to be able to track that. Okay. So that's the mode change report. Now I'm just going to show you the ARA configurator very quickly. This is where we define the hierarchy of the system in ARA. This can be done through an import tool using Excel, or we can do it automatically by using the plant hierarchy defined on the DCS. But you see here, we've got these tags belong to this unit in this area of this plant. Okay, we can go up to 2 more levels of hierarchy, but I'm not displaying it here on this demo. Okay, so this is where we define all the alarms and how they belong in each unit. This is where we define the operators. So in order for the system to know the operator performance, we drag and drop different operators into each area so we can get proper statistics on the operator performance. If you want to use the alarm rationalization report in ARA, you can go in here and you can set your limit for the number of alarms that you want to achieve in that unit, and then ARA can show you this is your target and where you actually are, so you can compare how well you are doing with your alarm rationalization process. There are many parameters I talked about in ARA, such as the shifts. So for instance, let me go there. So here in this demo, I'm saying I've got a 6-hour shift, so 4 6-hour shifts. Here's my stale duration. I talked about long-standing alarms. So the EMUA standard states that if an alarm has been active for more than 1,440 minutes, it's considered a stale alarm or a long-standing alarm. If you want to change that, then you can put that parameter in there and change it to suit your own environment. Same here with the shattering. So here, if the tag is going in and out of alarm more than 5 times in 1 minute, it's considered a shattering alarm. Again, you can change that to suit your own environment. One question I've been asked by multiple people, I am running out of time now, but one question I've been asked by multiple people is, how do we license the Exaquantum in terms of tags for alarms? Well, the simple answer to that is Exaquantum does not care about the tag count when it comes to alarms. If you want to collect alarms into Exaquantum, you just create your OPC gateway here and just simply tick the box, enable alarm and event. So every single alarm that's been raised from CENTUM VP or any other system will come into Exaquantum. You don't need to create the corresponding tags in the system to match the alarms that you are receiving, like you would on other systems. So I go to here, tag editor, and you can see I've got very few tags defined. So there's no relation to the tags configured in Exaquantum and the alarms that come into Exaquantum. They are totally separate. And you can start the smallest system for Exaquantum, which is, I think, 500 tags. Finally, I just wanted to quickly show you the report builder. It's now 1 o'clock, so I need to be quick now. This is the tool that ships with Exaquantum, which allows us to modify and change the reports that we have in ARA. So I can open up any report and I can make modifications to it, or I can go ahead and create my own report. None of these reports that are shipped with ARA are locked down in any way. So as a customer, there's no issue by you taking these reports and changing them, making any modifications, etc. And for learning how to do this stuff, we have a very comprehensive training course for learning the the skills required to write reports. But if you've used other reporting packages, I'm sure it will become second nature to you. Okay, I know we've covered a lot in an hour, but I hope I gave you a good impression of what ARA can offer you, and SER, indeed CAMS. And I will probably do some more detailed demonstrations at a later date based on the feedback that I get in the survey.